The smoke rose thick and fragrant from the grill as Du-Han Kim flipped the meat with practiced ease. His restaurant, HFY BBQ, sat in the heart of New Seoul's food district. The evening rush was just beginning, and the smell of grilling beef brought hungry customers through the door. "Brother, you've got a strange message," Hannah called from behind the counter. She held up a glowing blue envelope that seemed to float just above her palm. Du-Han raised an eyebrow, but kept working the grill. Strange messages could wait. Perfect galbi could not. Hannah walked over to the grill, waving the floating envelope. "It has the Galactic Culinary Federation's seal on it. You should look at it now." Du-Han sighed and handed his tongs to one of his helpers. He wiped his hands on his apron and took the envelope. As soon as he touched it, it opened like a flower, projecting a hologram into the air. The restaurant's customers stopped eating to stare. A tall, silver-skinned alien appeared in the hologram. It wore what looked like formal robes with many colorful patches. "Greetings, Master Du-Han Kim of Earth," the alien said in perfect Korean. "I am First Chef San of the Galactic Culinary Federation. We invite you to represent Earth in the first-ever Galactic BBQ competition." Du-Han almost dropped the envelope. Hannah grabbed his arm, her eyes wide. The hologram continued. "Your establishment has been rated as one of Earth's finest practitioners of the unique human art of cooking with fire. As you may know, humans are the only known species that purposely burn their food before eating." "They say that like it's weird," Du-Han muttered. Hannah shushed him. "The competition will be held at the Culinary Nexus space station in 3 Earth weeks. You may bring your own equipment and ingredients. The winner will receive the title of Greatest Grill Master of the Galaxy, plus 1 million universal credits." Hannah gasped. That was enough money to open 10 more restaurants. "Should you accept, place your thumb on the seal below." A glowing circle appeared under the hologram. Du-Han stared at the invitation. He looked around his restaurant, at the families enjoying their meals, at the grills that had been in his family for 3 generations. His grandmother had taught him everything he knew about BBQ on these very grills. "Are you going to do it?" Hannah asked. "Think about it. You'd be the first human to compete in a galactic cooking competition." "But they don't even cook their food," Du-Han said. "How can they judge BBQ if they've never eaten it before?" Just then, his grandmother's voice echoed in his memory. "Food brings people together, Du-Han. It doesn't matter where they're from or what they look like. Good food opens hearts." Du-Han looked at the sizzling meat on his grill. He'd spent his whole life mastering the art of Korean BBQ. Maybe it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do with fire and food. "If I go," he said to Hannah, "I'll need your help. You know all the recipes as well as I do." Hannah grinned. "I'll start packing the special marinades." Du-Han took a deep breath and pressed his thumb to the glowing seal. The hologram changed, showing a string of numbers and instructions. "Welcome, Master Du-Han," First Chef San's voice said. "A transport will arrive in 1 week. You may bring up to 100 kilos of equipment and ingredients. We look forward to experiencing your unique cooking methods." The hologram disappeared, leaving the restaurant oddly quiet. Then one of the customers started clapping. Soon, the whole restaurant was applauding. Du-Han turned back to his grill, mind racing with possibilities. He had 1 week to prepare for the biggest competition of his life. 1 week to get ready to show the galaxy why humans cook their food with fire. Hannah was already making lists on her tablet. "We'll need the portable grill, the special wood chips, spices." She looked up at her brother. "Are you scared?" Du-Han picked up his tongs and flipped a perfect piece of galbi onto a plate. "No," he said, watching the meat sizzle. "I'm hungry." The culinary nexus was the biggest thing Du-Han had ever seen. The space station looked like a giant silver donut with spikes sticking out of it. His small transport ship flew through one of the many docking bays, and Du-Han held tight to his case of spices. "Please remain seated until we finish docking," the ship's computer said in a calm voice. Du-Han checked his portable grill for the 10th time. Hannah had helped him pack everything carefully. but he still worried. When the ship's door opened, Du Han's nose wrinkled. The air smelled clean, too clean. No food smells at all. How could this be a place for cooking? A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms waited at the dock. "Welcome, Master Duhan," it said, bowing awkwardly. "I am Kaiwan, your guide. I have studied Earth cultures extensively." "Thank you," Duhan said, bowing back. "Please, just call me Duhan." "Of course, just Duhan." Duhan sighed. This was going to be interesting. Kaiwan helped Duhan carry his equipment to the competitors' area. The hallways were full of strange creatures. Some floated, some crawled, some had too many legs to count. But they all stopped to stare at Duhan's grill. "Is that your food processing unit?" Kaiwan asked, pointing at the grill. "No, this is for cooking with fire." Kaiwan's spots turned pale. "Ah yes, the burning. Many contestants are very interested in this unusual technique." They entered a large room filled with cooking stations. Each station had what looked like metal boxes with buttons and screens. Duhan's station was empty except for a table and some power outlets. "Where are the other grills?" Duhan asked. "Other contestants use standard food processors," Kaiwan explained. "They input ingredients, and the machine prepares them properly." A tall, thin alien with shimmering scales walked over. It wore what looked like an expensive chef's uniform. "So this is the human fire user," it said in a silky voice. "I am Chef Blix, 3-time winner of the Centauri Food Processing Championship." "Nice to meet you," Duhan said. "I'm Duhan Kim from Earth." "Ah yes, the planet where they still burn their food on purpose." Chef Blix's scales rippled. "How traditional. I look forward to seeing how your primitive methods compare to modern techniques." Before Duhan could answer, another alien approached his station. This one looked almost human, except for the slight glow coming from its skin. "I am Tukho," it said. "I was born near the human colony on Proxima B. I have always wanted to understand why humans insist on burning their food." "We don't burn it," Duhan said. He started unpacking his grill. "We cook it. There's a big difference." "Please demonstrate," Tukho said, pulling out a data pad. "I wish to understand." Duhan looked at his grill, then at the curious aliens gathering around his station. He remembered his grandmother's words about food bringing people together. "Okay," he said. "First, we need to light the grill." He took out his charcoal and lighter. When the first spark caught and the charcoal began to glow, several aliens jumped back. Security drones zoomed over, their sensors blinking red. "It's okay," Kaiwan told the drones. "This is an approved cooking method." The drones hovered uncertainly, then backed away. The crowd of aliens moved closer, watching the charcoal turn orange with curiosity and fear. "Now," Duhan said, pulling out a piece of marinated beef, "let me show you what real cooking looks like." He placed the meat on the grill. The sizzle echoed through the quiet room. The smell of cooking beef filled the air. Some aliens backed away, but others moved closer, their various sensory organs focused on the grill. "Fascinating," Tukho whispered, recording everything. "The protein strands are actually changing structure due to the heat application." Chef Blix's scales turned a dark color. "A crude method," it said, but its eyes never left the cooking meat. Duhan smiled as he worked the grill. Maybe his grandmother was right. Maybe food really could bring anyone together, even if they were from different planets. The first round of the competition began early the next station day. Duhan stood at his cooking station, watching as 30 different alien chefs prepared their stations. None of them had fire. Instead, they had boxes, tubes, and strange machines that hummed and glowed. His quantum communicator beeped. Hannah's face appeared in the air above it. "How are you doing, brother?" she asked. "Did you sleep at all?" "The gravity feels strange here," Duhan said, "and everything smells like clean metal. But did you memorize the recipe changes I sent you?" Duhan patted his pocket where he kept his family's recipe book. Yes, but I'm not sure about using space-grown garlic in the marinade. Trust me, Hana said. I researched it. Space garlic is stronger than Earth garlic. Use half as much. A loud chime rang through the competition area. First, Chef San's voice followed. Welcome to round 1 of the Great Galactic BBQ competition. Today's challenge. Prepare your signature dish. Duhan smiled. He knew exactly what to make. Contestants, first Chef San continued. You have 2 standard hours. Begin. Duhan lit his charcoal. Again, security drones rushed over. Again, Kaiwan had to wave them away. Just monitoring the controlled heat reaction. Kaiwan shouted at them. As Duhan prepared his marinade, he noticed Tukho watching him closely from the next station. The alien was making notes on 3 different data pads at once. The human is combining chemical compounds before applying heat, Tukho muttered into a recorder. Fascinating process. Chef Blix worked 2 stations down, their scales changing colors as they pressed buttons on their food processor. My machine can break down proteins and rebuild them in any pattern, they announced loudly. No dangerous heat needed. Duhan ignored them and focused on his galbi. The smell of his grandmother's special marinade filled his station. He noticed some aliens leaning closer, their sensory organs twitching. What is that sensation in the air? One alien asked. Those are called smells, Kaiwan explained. Humans use them to judge food before eating. Primitive, Chef Blix said, but they kept sniffing the air too. Duhan placed the first batch of marinated meat on the hot grill. The sizzling sound made several aliens jump, but none of them moved away. The protein is changing color, Tukho exclaimed, recording everything. And the smell particles are increasing. More aliens gathered around Duhan's station. Security drones hovered nervously nearby. Even the judges stopped to watch. The human is using actual combustion to alter food. One judge whispered to another. How do they avoid burning their eating chambers? Duhan focused on his cooking. He thought about his grandmother teaching him how to test the meat's doneness by touching it. About his mother showing him how to arrange the herbs just right. About Hannah helping him perfect their father's special sauce. When he put the finished galbi on the serving plate, adding the special sauce and garnish, the crowd of aliens leaned in even closer. The security drone sensors were spinning wildly. Time is complete. First, Chef San announced. Judges will now taste each entry. The judges started at the far end of the room. Duhan watched as they sampled food pills, protein cubes, and restructured matter from the other contestants' processors. Some entries glowed. Some changed color. One even tried to escape. Finally, they reached Duhan's station. He had arranged the galbi on the plate just as his grandmother had taught him, with fresh lettuce and his father's special sauce on the side. This is safe to consume, one judge asked, poking the meat with a sensor. Completely safe, Kaiwan assured them. Humans eat like this every day. The first judge picked up a piece with food handlers. They lifted it to their eating port. The room went silent. The judge's color changed from green to blue to purple. This is, they started to say. Everyone leaned forward. This is, the judge tried again. Duhan held his breath. This is the most interesting thing I have ever experienced through my eating port. The other judges quickly took pieces. Soon, they were all changing colors rapidly. The heat has changed the protein structure completely. The molecules dance on my sensors. What is this wetness in my eating port? Those are flavors, Duhan explained. And you're drooling. That's normal. For the first time since arriving at the station, Duhan smiled. Maybe this competition wouldn't be so hard after all. After the success of round 1, Duhan found himself surrounded by curious aliens. They all wanted to know about his secret heat techniques. But right now, he was trying to solve a problem with his marinades. The soy sauce isn't working the same way here, he told Hannah through the quantum communicator. Something about the station's gravity is changing how it soaks into the meat. Hold on, Hannah said, typing on her tablet. I'm looking at the station's gravity settings. They're running at zero point 0.8 Earth gravity to save power. Tucko, who was still taking notes nearby, looked up with interest. May I help? I have studied human food chemistry. Doohan thought for a moment, then nodded. What do you know about soy sauce? It is a liquid made from fermented soybeans, Tucko said quickly. But more importantly, human taste buds are much more complex than most species in the galaxy. What do you mean? Doohan asked. Most species have between 1 and 3 taste sensors. Humans have 5 basic ones and can detect thousands of flavor combinations. Tucko's skin glowed brighter with excitement. That is why your cooking is so interesting. You make food that activates all these sensors at once. Doohan had never thought about it that way. He looked at his grandmother's recipe book with new eyes. So when we balance sweet, salty, and savory, you are creating a sensory experience most aliens have never had, Tucko finished. It is like giving someone who only sees one color the ability to see a rainbow. Just then, Chef Blix walked by with a group of supporters, still discussing primitive cooking methods. They asked, "My food processor can create perfect nutrient balance without all this mess." Doohan ignored them and focused on his marinades. He had 6 different containers laid out, each with a different mix of ingredients. The next round is tomorrow, he told Tucko. I need to figure out how to adjust these recipes for alien taste buds. May I scan them? Tucko asked, holding up a small device. I can analyze the chemical compounds. Doohan nodded. As Tucko scanned each marinade, Hannah watched through the communicator with interest. Look at these readings, Tucko exclaimed. This one has 27 different flavor compounds. Most alien food has 2 or 3 at most. That's just the basic marinade, Hannah said proudly. Wait until you see what we do with the special sauce. More aliens gathered around as Tucko displayed the scan results in the air. The holographic diagrams showed complex webs of flavors connecting and combining. Is this why humans spend so much time preparing food? One alien asked. To create these flavor networks. Partly, Doohan said. But it's also about memory and feeling. The aliens looked confused. When I smell these marinades, I remember my grandmother teaching me to cook, Doohan explained. When I taste certain foods, I remember happy times with my family. This caused great excitement among the aliens. Several of them began recording his words. Food creates memory imprints, one asked. Food affects emotional states, another wondered. Fascinating. Tucko's glow brightened even more. Humans don't just eat for nutrition. They eat for emotional and social reasons. Chef Blix, who had been listening nearby, made a dismissive sound. Emotions have no place in proper food preparation. My processor removes all such irregular elements. But Doohan noticed that Chef Blix was secretly scanning his marinades too. Brother, Hannah said through the communicator, I think you just discovered your advantage in this competition. Doohan looked at his grandmother's recipe book, then at the curious alien still studying Tucko's scans. He remembered what his grandmother always said. The secret ingredient is never just what you put in the food. It's also what you put of yourself into making it. He smiled and started adjusting his marinades. Tomorrow's round would be very interesting indeed. The semifinals day started with chaos. Chef Blix had spent all night trying to make their food processor create fire-cooked flavors. Now black smoke poured from their cooking station. Emergency. Emergency. The station's computer announced. Unauthorized combustion detected. Security drones swarmed around Chef Blix's station. The processor sparked and sizzled, making angry noises. I almost had it, Chef Blix shouted, their scales turning bright red. I almost recreated the fire cooking process. Doohan watched as station workers rushed to shut down the smoking machine. He felt a little sorry for Chef Blix. Almost. Kaiwan hurried over to Doohan's station. The safety committee is meeting right now, they said, nervous spots appearing on their blue skin. They're talking about banning all heat-based cooking. They can't do that. Du-Han protested. That's the whole point of BBQ. His quantum communicator beeped. Hana's face appeared, looking excited despite the early hour in Korea. "Brother, you won't believe what I found," she said. "I've been researching alien cooking history. Many species used to cook with heat thousands of years ago. They just forgot about it when they invented food processors." "Really?" Du-Han and Kai-1 asked together. "Yes, I found records from 20 different planets. They all talk about using fire to prepare food before they developed modern technology." Tuck-Ho, who had been listening nearby, started searching through their data pads. "She is correct. My own species has ancient tales of gathering around warm food stones. I always thought they were just stories." Just then, First Chef San approached Du-Han's station. They looked very serious. "Master Du-Han," they said formally, "the safety committee has concerns about your cooking method." "First Chef," Du-Han said, thinking quickly, "did you know your own ancestors used to cook with heat?" First Chef San's spots turned purple with surprise. "What?" Hana quickly sent her research through the communicator. The evidence floated in the air between them. Ancient pictures, stories, and records from dozens of alien worlds. "Look," she said, pointing to one image. "This is from your home world, First Chef. It shows people gathering around a cooking fire, just like humans still do." First Chef San stared at the ancient images. Their spots kept changing colors. "This is unexpected," they said finally, "but it does not change the safety concerns." "Then let me show you how safe it can be," Du-Han said. He gestured to his grill. "Watch." Du-Han started his grill with careful movements. He explained each step, how the charcoal was contained, how the heat was controlled, how the smoke was managed. A crowd gathered to watch. Even Chef Blix came over, their scales still sooty from their failed experiment. "The heat stays exactly where we want it," Du-Han explained. "We've been doing this safely for thousands of years, and creating amazing flavor compounds." Tuck-Ho added excitedly. "The heat transforms the proteins in ways no processor can copy." First Chef San watched as Du-Han demonstrated his techniques. More committee members drifted over to watch. Soon, the whole competition area was filled with aliens studying the ancient art of cooking with fire. "Perhaps," First Chef San said slowly, "we have been too quick to dismiss old ways of preparing food." "Does this mean heat cooking is still allowed?" Kai-1 asked hopefully. First Chef San nodded. "The semifinals will continue as planned." But they added, looking at Chef Blix, "only with proper equipment and training." Chef Blix's scales drooped. "My processor is destroyed anyway," they admitted. "You can watch me cook if you want," Du-Han offered, surprising himself. "There's an old saying on Earth, the best way to learn is to watch the masters at work." Chef Blix's scales rippled with surprise. Then they nodded slowly. As Du-Han prepared for the semifinals, he smiled. His grandmother had always said that good food could make friends out of rivals. As usual, she was right. The semifinals challenge was announced just after breakfast time. "Create a dish that reminds you of home." Du-Han stood at his cooking station, thinking hard. Chef Blix watched from nearby, their scales now a curious shade of green. "What makes food remind humans of home?" Chef Blix asked. After their food processor accident, they had become genuinely interested in Du-Han's cooking. "It's different for everyone," Du-Han explained. "For me, it's the smell of grilling meat and my grandmother's special sauce." Hana appeared on the quantum communicator. "Brother, I sent you something special for today's challenge. Check your supply box." Du-Han opened the box that had arrived that morning. Inside was a small jar of red pepper paste from their grandmother's last batch before she passed away. His eyes got a little wet. "Grandmother's gochujang," he whispered. "What is that emotional water coming from your eyes?" Tucko asked, recording everything as usual. "They're called tears," Kaiwan explained. "Humans make them when they feel strong emotions. Humans leak water because of food." Another alien asked in surprise. "Not because of the food," Duhan said, holding the jar carefully. "Because of the memories it brings back." He opened the jar. The smell reminded him of Sunday mornings in his grandmother's kitchen, of her teaching him how to taste test sauces, of her smile when he got it right. "I know exactly what I'm going to make," he said. Duhan started preparing his ingredients, but this time he also had some alien vegetables he had traded for. Strange purple roots that tasted like garlic, blue leaves that were surprisingly spicy. "What are you making?" Chef Blix asked, watching him mix the familiar and unfamiliar ingredients. "Something new," Duhan said. "Something that tastes like home, but welcomes new friends too." As he worked, he told stories about cooking with his grandmother, about how she taught him to listen to the sizzle of the meat, to watch the color change, to smell when it was perfect. The aliens gathered around his station, listening and watching. Even the judges stopped to hear the stories. "This food contains memories," one judge asked. "In a way," Duhan said. "When we cook, we put a little bit of our history into every dish." He mixed his grandmother's gochujang with some of the alien spices. The smell was familiar but different, like home cooking on a new world. When he put the meat on the grill, the sizzle made everyone lean in closer. The smell of earth spices mixed with alien vegetables filled the air. Some aliens' colors changed. Others' tentacles waved gently. Even the security drones seemed to drift closer. "That aroma activates pleasure sensors I didn't know I had," Tucko said, their skin glowing brightly. Chef Blix's scales rippled with all sorts of colors. I think I understand now. This isn't just about chemical reactions or protein structures." "No," Duhan said, carefully turning the meat. "It's about sharing something special with others." When the dish was ready, Duhan arranged it carefully on the plate. Earth meat grilled to perfection, glazed with a sauce that mixed his grandmother's gochujang with alien spices. Strange colored vegetables grilled just right, arranged the way his grandmother had taught him. The judges came to taste it. The first one took a bite, and their spots turned golden, a color Duhan had never seen on an alien before. "This tastes like, the judge struggled to find words, like coming home after a very long journey." The other judges tried it. Each one had a similar reaction. Some hummed, some glowed. One started leaking their own version of tears. Hana watched through the communicator, smiling proudly. "Grandmother would have loved this," she said softly. Duhan nodded, watching the aliens enjoy his food. His grandmother had always said that a good meal was like a warm hug for the soul. Looking at the happy faces around his grill, human and alien alike, he knew she was right. The final day of the competition arrived. The Culinary Nexus's main hall was packed with spectators from 50 different worlds. The air was buzzing with excitement. Duhan stood at his cooking station, facing Chef Blix. After their food processor accident, Chef Blix had asked to learn about traditional cooking. Now they had a small grill of their own. The final challenge, first Chef San announced, is to create a dish that represents unity between species. "You have 3 hours. Begin." Hannah's face appeared on the communicator. "You can do this, brother. Remember everything grandmother taught us." Duhan nodded and looked at his ingredients. He had earth spices, alien vegetables, and his special marinades. But he needed something more. "Chef Blix," he called out, "would you like to work together?" The whole hall went quiet. Chef Blix's scales turned bright yellow with surprise. "Work together?" they asked. "Yes, unity between species, right? Let's show them what humans and Centaurians can create together." Chef Blix thought for a moment, their scales shifting through different colors. Finally, they nodded. I will share my Centaurian flavor crystals if you show me how to grill them properly, they offered. Duhan smiled. Deal. The crowd watched in amazement as the two chefs began working together. Duhan showed Chef Blix how to control the fire, while Chef Blix showed him how their flavor crystals could enhance the marinades. The crystals are changing structure in the heat, Tuck-Ho announced excitedly from the judges' table. They're forming new flavor compounds. Kaiwan moved between the stations, translating cooking terms and helping them understand each other's techniques. See how the meat changes color, Duhan explained. That tells you when to flip it. And if you add the crystals at exactly that moment, Chef Blix added, they melt into the perfect sauce. The smell that rose from their grills was unlike anything the station had ever experienced. Earth spices mixed with Centaurian crystals created new aromas that made aliens of all species drift closer. Brother, Hannah said through the communicator, grandmother always said the best meals are cooked with friends. Duhan and Chef Blix worked smoothly together, each adding their own knowledge to create something new. When Chef Blix's scales turned blue with worry about the heat, Duhan showed them how to adjust it. When Duhan wasn't sure about the crystal timing, Chef Blix guided him. The 3 hours passed quickly. Finally, first Chef San called time. Duhan and Chef Blix had created 2 dishes that complemented each other perfectly. Earth-style grilled meats with Centaurian crystal glaze, surrounded by grilled vegetables from both their worlds. The plates looked like artwork, with colors that humans and aliens could both appreciate. The judges approached. They looked at both dishes with all their various sensing organs. Explain your creation. First Chef San said. Duhan and Chef Blix looked at each other. Then Chef Blix nodded for Duhan to speak. This is more than just a combination of ingredients, Duhan said. It's a combination of traditions, Earth's ancient cooking methods, and Centauri's flavor science working together to create something new. When the heat transforms the crystals, Chef Blix added, their scales glowing with pride. It creates flavors that neither of our species could make alone. The judges tasted both dishes. The hall was completely silent as they ate. Finally, the head judge spoke. In all my years of tasting, I have never experienced anything like this. The way the flavors work together, it's like a song made of taste. The other judges nodded in agreement, their colors and appendages showing strong approval. Duhan looked at Chef Blix, who was glowing with all the colors of their scales at once. Whatever the final result would be, they had already won something more important than a competition. They had proven that different species could create wonderful things together. Hannah wiped happy tears from her eyes. Grandmother would be so proud, she whispered. The awards ceremony was held in the Culinary Nexus's Grand Hall. Beings from all over the galaxy waited to hear the results. Duhan stood next to Chef Blix, both feeling nervous but happy. First Chef San floated onto the stage, their formal robes glittering under the lights. The hall went quiet. This competition has shown us something unexpected. First Chef San began. We planned to find the best BBQ chef in the galaxy. Instead, we found something much more valuable. They gestured to Duhan and Chef Blix. We found that the oldest cooking method in the galaxy, fire cooking, still has much to teach us, and we learned that when different species work together, we create things more wonderful than we could alone. Hannah watched through the quantum communicator, holding her breath. The whole restaurant staff back in New Seoul was watching too. The winners of the Great Galactic BBQ Cook-Off, first Chef San announced, are Duhan Kim of Earth and Chef Blix of Centauri. The hall erupted in cheers. Chef Blix's scales flashed every color possible. Duhan smiled so wide his face hurt. But that's not all. First Chef San continued. The Galactic Culinary Federation has decided to open the first ever interstellar BBQ Academy here on the Culinary Nexus, and we want both our winners to be the head teachers. Duhan's eyes went wide. Chef Blix's scales turned bright gold with surprise. Teach, Cooking with fire? Chef Blix asked. Yes, First Chef San said. Many species have shown interest in learning these ancient techniques. We believe it's time to bring fire cooking back to the galaxy. Kaiwan rushed up to translate all the details. They want you to teach traditional Earth BBQ methods and help other species adapt them to their own cuisines. Hannah's voice came through the communicator. Brother, this is amazing. But what about our restaurant? I have an idea, Duhan said. He turned to First Chef San. Could we open a restaurant here on the station too, to show students how a real BBQ restaurant works? First Chef San's spots turned happy purple. An excellent suggestion. We have the perfect location near the academy. Hannah. Duhan called to his sister. How would you like to run 2 restaurants? One on Earth and one in space. Hannah's eyes sparkled. I'll start packing, and I'll bring all of grandmother's recipes. Tucko approached them, still taking notes. I would like to be your first student, they said. I want to learn everything about fire cooking and flavor science. Chef Blix's scales rippled with excitement. We could create a whole new kind of cuisine, combining traditional fire cooking with modern techniques. The next few hours were a blur of planning and celebrating. Aliens from all over the station wanted to try the winning dishes. Duhan and Chef Blix had to make more food, teaching as they cooked. Later that night, Duhan stood at his grill, cooking a quiet dinner for his new friends. Chef Blix was practicing with their own grill nearby. Kaiwan and Tucko sat at the counter, asking questions about different cooking techniques. Even some of the security drones hovered nearby, their sensors now programmed to recognize cooking fire as safe. You know, Chef Blix said, carefully flipping a piece of meat the way Duhan had taught them, on my world, we have an old saying. The universe provides the ingredients, but friends make the meal. We have a similar saying on Earth, Duhan replied. My grandmother always said, good food feeds the body, but sharing food feeds the soul. Hannah, watching through the communicator, raised a cup of tea. To grandmother, she said, who taught us that the best recipes are made with love and shared with friends, no matter what planet they're from. Everyone raised their drinks, some in cups, some in tentacles, some in anti-gravity bubbles. To new friends, new flavors, and the old ways made new again, Duhan said. As they ate together under the stars, Duhan knew this was just the beginning of a whole new adventure in cooking. And somewhere, he was sure his grandmother was smiling.